Well, let's move on to the World Series, shall we?
Shall we?
Because it is set, you guys. Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's start with the Rangers, who are looking for their first World Series title in franchise history. How do they break that 62-year drought?
Well, I don't think we can gloss over what you just said there, Alex. They have never won a World Series in the existence of their organization. 62 years. They're the only team in baseball that can say it's been 62 years and they've never won a World Series. So let's start there. They've also had opportunities, which makes this even more interesting because the Rangers fan base has not been has not had it easy over the course of their lives. No matter how long that you have been alive, if you're a Rangers fan, it ain't been easy. And you did have back-to-back World Series appearances where you just got let down. And then in one of them, in back-to-back games, you were one strike away from winning the World Series. And you just had your heart ripped out every single time. So this fan base has been craving a World Series championship. And now they're just 4 games away from getting that done. So I'm excited to see that. There's a lot of history on the line here. There's a lot to deal with the fans. And you could hear that. You could feel that when we were in the crowd there in Arlington. They're going to be fired up. But this team, they're the real deal, Alex. They pitch well. Nathan Eovaldi going to be on the mound in game 1. Zach Gallen going to be on the mound in game 1 for the Diamondbacks. Great pitching matchup there. So they pitch really well. Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery, back into the bullpen, question marks. But what this team does well is the top 2 guys in the rotation, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and Adolis Garcia, who we just saw win ALCS MVP.
And they do have a little more World Series experience on their team than the D-backs. Obviously, it starts with the manager, Bruce Bochy, right? 3-time World Series champ. We got to talk to him after the Rangers advanced to the World Series. And he really talked about just this core in this group. He had this feeling since spring training that they never get too high, they never get too low, and they just constantly believe in each other and in themselves. And that's how they got to this point. No matter how many adversities they faced with injuries, setbacks, they just continued on and built each other up. And then you have now, so you have Bruce Bochy, but then you have 4 players opposed to the 2 on the D-backs who have World Series experience with Corey Seager, Max Scherzer, Chapman, and Eovaldi.
Yeah, and that helps.
And it helps.
Big time. You know, Bruce Bochy, you just mentioned him, is a huge part of all of this. And look, we're not far removed from this Texas Rangers team being awful. There's no way around it. They're 2 years removed from being a 100-loss team.
It's crazy.
Last year, they were 68-94. So 2021, they were 60-102. And that's this whole series. The Diamondbacks went 52-110 2 years ago. That's 74-88 last year. I mean, we're talking 2 teams with a very fast turnaround here. It's the 4th time both World Series teams posted a losing record in the previous season. And their combined .438 win percentage in the previous season is the 2nd worst all time. So these teams have had quick turnarounds, and they've done it in very different ways. The Rangers spending money on big-time veterans, right? And Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, who's obviously injured but pitched his team to home field advantage in the playoffs. Pitched game 1 of the year against the Phillies. They won that game. Shout out Jacob deGrom for home field advantage.
And Bochy, a big pickup.
And Bochy, huge. So these 2 teams and the Diamondbacks on the opposite end have done it in a very different way in terms of just building from within and finally feeling that they had enough to get there. But this is really a very interesting series for me. But to answer your question, the Rangers are here, and they do it from those guys that I just talked about. They got absolutely paid. They're paying $500 million for their middle infield. Corey Seager's been worth it in the playoffs in the ALCS. Marcus Semien has the last couple games of the series, I felt like he came around a bit and started putting better swings on the ball. So we'll see how he does in the World Series. And Adolis Garcia, quite the story. The guy was DFA'd by the St. Louis Cardinals. And now look at him. Now he's doing historic things.
I mean, MVP.
In the ALCS.
Yeah.
Yeah, ALCS MVP. So Yeah, the Rangers have their stars for sure, and those stars are the reason they got here.
All right, well, let's move on to your sneaky snakes because the D-backs were in the World Series, and Ben, they were your team to watch out for before the season even started. So you knew they were going to be good, but did you expect them to get to the World Series?
No, I didn't expect the Diamondbacks to get to the World Series. I expected them and felt like they had a good chance to get to the playoffs this year. But no, I couldn't have foreseen this coming, and that's what makes this awesome, right? Is that they are here, and they do deserve to be here. They swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. They beat the Phillies on the road in Philly. That's where they got this done. This team is no slouch. But how did they get here? One, they got here by creating chaos, and a bunch of it. They are young. They are fast. They play great defense. They run the bases really well. That's what they'll do. They're not afraid to lay down a bunt. They're not afraid to take a single and then steal second base. Hell, steal third base. Sacrifice, fly them in. They do the game. It's kind of an old school feel to this team, right? They're not going to hit more home runs than anybody. The Rangers will probably end up hitting more home runs than the Diamondbacks in this series because that's not the Diamondbacks' game. They get on base. They create chaos. They make the pitcher uncomfortable. They make a defense uncomfortable. They make catchers uncomfortable, and they just get teams out of their rhythm. And that's one big reason they're here. Another one, two big studs in the rotation. One, Zach Gallen, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Two, Merrill Kelly, who's been fantastic this year for him. Pitched a really big game in the NLCS. And by the way, Brandon Pfaadt was really good in game 3 and 7. So you got to add his name in there. But two big studs in the rotation all year long is a big reason they're here. And lastly, MVP CC.
Mm-hmm.
Corbin Carroll. He's legit. I was clamoring on about it since January, February. I'm sure everybody listening before the season was like, good Lord, can the season just start so Ben can stop talking about Corbin Carroll and how good this kid's going to be? Well, guess what? You didn't see the Diamondbacks getting to the World Series, did you? Because the talks keep going. Then I came up with his own nickname, MVP CC. Then I ran into his parents, and you know what they said? I really like your nickname you came up with for him. And I said, thanks, I do too. And then I asked the Diamondbacks to tweet out MVP CC, and guess what they did? They tweeted it out, and now they're in the World Series. Coincidence? I think not. This kid is a stud. He's one of the most humble human beings that I have come across in this small, small world that is the baseball circle. He's an absolute stud. He had a historic rookie season. He's going to win NL Rookie of the Year. It wouldn't surprise me. You know what? MVP CC, it was a bit of foreshadowing, right? I think he's going to win an MVP in his career. But we're 4 games away from him potentially winning an MVP of the World Series. Whew. He's a huge part of this team. He's a huge part of this offense. The D-backs are not here without him. Corbin Carroll, baby. That is why the Diamondbacks are here.
How do they win this?
Create chaos.
Just continue.
A lot of it. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.